that they will be willing to overlook the fact that she doesn't have a true vision for the country.
Like, I don't think it's because, no, I don't think it's because people are excited to vote for the first black woman. I think the campaign is thinking people are so excited it's not Biden. What is this?
Hi, so I have a master's degree in business, and today I'm going to use
Oh my God, this content creator always does like crazy marketing
analyze
videos.
The marketing strategy of Kamala Harris's campaign, and ultimately why I believe if she continues with the horrible marketing strategy she has been employing, why she will ultimately end up losing the presidency to Donald Trump. So obviously this is a highly emotional and contentious topic for a lot of people, but the reason why I did want to speak on it is that I think there's a lot of parallels to be drawn between the marketing of a product and the marketing of a political candidate. And while I wish that wasn't the case, because I wish that politics was less of an exercise in personal branding and more of a deeper discussion on substantive policies that will actually be impacting the everyday lives of human beings, that just simply is not the case. And although I'm not American, I am Canadian. Your elections have consequences for the entire world, so I think anybody that wants to put their...
Dude, I love this. I love this guy's videos, okay? Sorry, we're going to watch this because I truly do want to hear... Before you say, silence Canadian, okay? I want to hear a non-political analysis from a pure marketing standpoint. I think it'll be entertaining. I have better instincts than you in terms of what is entertaining and what's not.
Their 2 cents in is allowed to. So based on my objective analysis, I believe that Kamala Harris's campaign is built upon very flawed marketing strategy that is very heavily relying on superficial social media engagement, identity politics, and a highly crafted and tightly controlled public image of her persona that is so far removed from the reality of who she is and so socially and media engineered to the point that it is essentially a house of cards that is doomed to collapse.
Oh my God.
So the first marketing strategy that Kamala Harris is
now
employing...
You want to watch 9-minute TikTok? Yes, I do. He's fucking cooking. Shut up.
And we are all collectively
Shut up.
Experiencing it, whether we realize it or not, is the blank slate strategy. This is essentially where she is being intentionally vague and ambiguous in the language that she uses and the way that she appears publicly in order to take advantage of the psychological phenomenon of projection. Because if you are extremely vague and generic and say some of the right words without specifically committing to policies or being very clear about what your values are, human beings will simply project onto you what they want to see. Progressives will see her as extremely progressive and forward.
Oh my God. And this only works if your candidate is truly charismatic enough to the in-group. It's already like a failure of a strategy in general, but like it is the same reason why people refuse to recognize that like Trump's policies are actually inherently harmful to them. Okay? Straight up. When he says identity focus, I don't think he's saying like Kamala Harris is using identity politics. I think he's saying the campaign strategy also heightens that to a certain degree. That's the only thing I disagree with him on, by the way. I don't think that Kamala Harris has actually done any kind of like identity politics at all in their forward correspondence, in the way that they present themselves, even in the way of defending against attacks from Donald Trump, which I think is actually pretty effective and very smart. I must be too online. I love this guy. He has great takes. You have become, what? Unbearably confident?
Forward thinking. More moderate voters will see her as somebody that's a little bit more measured, and you can kind of see reasoning behind why they're doing it. I don't think it's completely stupid, but I think it is doomed to fail because although it is working in the short term, she's going to eventually be put into scenarios like debates where she will be forced to take firm stances on topics, and because she hasn't done that intellectual work to decide where she really lands on these important issues, she may end up looking unqualified for the job. So the next issue with the blank slate strategy is the only reason it's even remotely effective is specifically because she is solely relying on identity politics. And although I completely understand and respect the excitement associated with nominating the first woman president, the first black woman president,
I don't think she's running an identity politics campaign at all. But I do think that her identity factors into the excitement. And it's not just that she's a woman, a black woman, or a black Indian woman. It's actually the fact that she's younger. Okay? I think that they have actually expertly not played this like, you have to vote for me to break the glass ceiling type shit that Hillary Clinton was doing. Okay? But I do believe that those factors that we, use the shorthand, she's not Biden, to describe are major players in her immediate boost. Okay? That's it. She surprisingly has not done any of the fucking awful Hillary Clinton style identity politics campaigning, which have proven not to work. Joe Biden also never really did that either. And, because he couldn't, because he's like a 80-year-old racist. But I don't think that she's like being like, oh, I'm going to be the first Black, South Asian American woman to be president or blah, blah, blah. I don't think she's saying that. But I do think that the campaign is currently relying on the difference between the juxtaposition between her and Joe Biden, including being younger.
First South Asian American Black woman president. And that's something that is exciting and something that will understandably galvanize a certain demographic of the population that will vote for her solely based on that alone. I do not believe it is a substitute for an actionable policy platform that will actually impact the lives of the American people, because people are currently suffering economically and they want to understand and feel secure in the fact that you have a plan to ameliorate their suffering. So it seems like her campaign is relying on the sole fact that people will be so excited to vote for the first Black woman that they will be willing to overlook the fact that she doesn't have a true vision for the country.
Like, I don't think it's because people are excited to vote for the first Black woman. I think the campaign is thinking people are so excited it's not Biden. Like, there is some truth to what he's saying here, but if you only came in here to understand what was going on, you would be led astray, because the Kamala Harris campaign is not actually using identity politics at all. And I do think that that's a good thing overall. But the real reason as to why there is a lot of momentum behind the Harris camp is because she's not Biden. And to a certain demographic that was tired, the double haters that the media used to talk about a lot, she's not Trump either. She's not Trump and she's not Biden.
I do not believe that is something that should be relied upon, especially in the context of the United States, where the election will be decided based upon tens of thousands of votes in specific swing states. And the other issue with this lack of a policy platform is it leaves her very vulnerable to attacks from Donald Trump, because they can project any image onto her that they want, and she has no reasonable way to articulate a defense to them because she doesn't really stand for anything. So the next issue that I have with the Kamala Harris campaign is they seem to be very heavily relying on social media engagement as well as celebrity endorsements to create this sort of image of widespread popularity. The issue with using social media as a way to evaluate the current success of the Kamala Harris campaign.
He's cooking, dude. I think he's saying without policy, identity is all there is. It's kind of how right-wingers interpret her, perhaps.
Is that social media metrics can be extremely inflated and very misleading, because a huge demographic on TikTok, for example, are people under the age of 18. They will not be voting. And it's also further inflated by the fact that many people on TikTok are in international countries who just enjoy watching the politics for the show of it, like me. But we will not be voting in the election, so it can lead her campaign to be in a place where they are overestimating their grassroots support, when in reality they don't have it because it doesn't really exist. So the danger is that this perceived popularity may not translate into actual votes, particularly in the swing states, which will be the deciding factors of this election. And her campaign's obsession with social media and viral moments and celebrity culture is further illustrated by the decisions they're making by having Megan Thee Stallion twerking on stage, or thinking it was a good idea to have Oprah Winfrey appear at the DNC talking about the middle class, because they clearly do not have an understanding that the average American and average person absolutely does not want to be talked down to from them and will not be voting based upon who they endorse. And I'll go even further that I think it does the complete opposite of what they're trying to accomplish. The mere presence of Oprah Winfrey will directly result in people voting against Kamala Harris because of how much people despise celebrity culture and despise billionaires like Oprah Winfrey and everything that.
No, he's not wrong. Chat, he's not wrong. My man, I don't know why he hates Oprah so much. He was close, but people love celebrities. No. In terms of the political dynamic, while people do like celebrities, when is the last time you've ever fucking seen a person be swayed in a specific direction because celebrities told them? If that was the case, then Hillary Clinton would have been president in 2016. They ran on a lot of the same mistakes. They ran on a lot of the same fucking mistakes, dude. Some people love celebrities, but plenty of other people also hate that very same celebrity, okay? They won't vote against her, but they will 100% stay home if they're told Pokemon go to the polls. Yeah. I think the view annoying lips so much in these streams that chat makes the mistake of thinking they're the average American. What? They despise billionaires, so why would anyone vote for Trump? No, you don't understand. He's not talking about, I don't think he's talking about like converting Trump supporters into Kamala lovers, dude. He's talking about people in the fucking margins. Will you be able to pick up random people? Will you be able to pick up more people? If every step that you are taking, when you have 68 days until the election, every step that you're taking has to be in the right direction, okay? Trump was literally a cultural figure, celebrity before he ran for office. People love celebrities. This dude is really wrong. Oh, people already had name recognition for Trump because he was a television personality, which played in his favor when he was running as an anti-establishment candidate against an unfavorable, unliked establishment Democrat. Fox News showcasing Sunbelt. Insane polls coming out. Georgia Harris up 50% to 48. Nevada Harris up 50% to 48. This is the post-convention bump. Arizona Harris up 50% to 49. North Carolina Trump up 50% to 49%. People voted for Trump because he ran on bringing back jobs and said the American dream was dead, not because he was a TV personality. He also said all the politicians are phonies and I paid for them. And that I'm a good billionaire or I'm a good rich person and I'm going to run the country like a business. And Americans love that rhetoric. They're so stupid. Yeah, these polls aren't good, by the way. I just want to let you know. Like, they're within a margin of victory, with the exception of, like, the governor's race, which seemingly has not translated to Kamala Harris. Nevada Senate race, Rosen up 55 to 41%. And Arizona Senate race, Gallego 51 to 36 over Lake, have not had upstream positive consequences for the top of the ticket. This is the exact same problem that Biden was running into, and it became a larger issue. Obviously, Kari Lake is a separate situation in and of itself, and yet another L for the Republican strategists out there that are making, I don't know, all the worst decisions. But Biden had these exact same problems. Anyway, what do you think of Alex Eber's new Substack article supporting the idea of a border wall from a left-wing perspective? Dude, the border wall is just a symbol, dude. It is dumb as it is a waste of money, okay? Like, it's literally just a win an argument for the dumbest people on the planet. That's all the border wall is. It's not doing. I don't give a fuck about what leftist position there is to like fund a border wall. Okay, get the out of here. It was bad when Trump was pushing for it, especially because he used it as a symbol of. And it's still bad. It's still stupid. It's crazy to me that we're now advocating for the border. Like, how quickly do things change? Oh my God. Like, that's nuts, dude. The entire Democratic Party was unified against this border wall, calling it. And now there's Democrats being like, well, actually, what about a leftist perspective? Like, it didn't happen 10 years ago. It was 4 years ago, man.
That she stands for. And if I was to summarize the core problem with the personal brand of Kamala Harris, and something that I think will continue to bubble underneath the surface of her campaign until it inevitably explodes, it is an authenticity issue. And the perfect example of this is the glaring contradiction of the fact that Kamala Harris is using TikTok as a way to influence young people to vote for her, to make it appear like she cares about their issues and that she hears them, when in reality she is part of the administration that introduced legislation to ban the app, which is the most insane violation of freedom of speech I have seen in my entire lifetime. And if she does become president in November, come January, the app is set to be taken away from the App Store forever. They literally banned the app because of lobbying from Mark Zuckerberg, because instead of spending money on his own app improving Instagram, he would rather take out his competitor altogether. And because we have a completely corrupt government, he's able to do that. So I can't even imagine the fact that she's been able to run this campaign and has not been questioned about this glaring contradiction. And this brings us, of course, to the most obvious question, which is why hasn't she been questioned about this or really anything important? And the reason is that her campaign officials know that she has a historic...
Y'all are so caught up in him saying we because he admitted that he's Canadian, and you're literally missing the forest for the trees, and it's annoying. He is he is 100p right. Not 90p, 100p. Okay? No, he's right. He's absolutely right, dude. It's ridiculous. They're like, oh, look at us. We're doing Brad Summer memes on TikTok. It wasn't that long ago when they were like, oh, TikTok is a Chinese psyop that's like causing American teens to be anti-Semitic and we have to ban it instantly. And now they're like, oh, look at all the TikTok memes that we got for the campaign. He's right, but framing it as the biggest issue is weird. It's not. I don't even think he's framing it as like the biggest issue. It's a big issue for the Gen Z voter bloc, most likely. But it is ridiculous that like that the moment that someone asks them about this question, she has no answer. It's the same idiotic hypocrisy demonstrated by Republicans, okay? When Republicans are like, oh yeah, abortion is murder, but also some states should be allowed to do murders, is a ridiculous argument to make. Oh, TikTok is like this incredibly anti-Semitic Chinese psyop, but also he claimed to be objective in the beginning, but this whole analysis is anything but. In my opinion, he's giving ideological critiques of her. I thought we were getting a marketing assessment of her campaign. I think he is giving a marketing assessment of her campaign, and I happen to agree with some of the things that he's saying. Like, I don't think this person is like a secret Trump supporter. You know what I mean? I think he is saying personally that Kamala Harris running a campaign devoid of issues that will be helpful to people. Okay. Oh, bro, when you say a lot of things he's saying is from Fox News. Yeah, we just watched a Fox News video saying that the anti-Israel protest will be Kamala Harris's October surprise potentially. I said that months ago. And now Fox News is saying, I said that a month ago. Now Fox News is saying it. Does that make it wrong? No. I also said the right is going to hit her on her flip-flop on the border wall. Also, people saying that she's light on policy is not just a Fox News argument at all. Don't try to polarize against or for one particular viewpoint in an effort to defend Kamala Harris in this situation. Because while Fox News has been saying, where are the policies? Where are the policies? There's no policies. You know who else is saying that now? CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, and the HasanAbi broadcast as well. It's just a fact. Deluded themselves again. Did you liberals learn absolutely nothing from 2016? Americans all feel like nothing is changing. People want money in their bank and feel like they can ignore politics and afford groceries. Liberals are stuck in memes and social media. Yeah, I think that just claiming you can't criticize Harris or else you're using Republican talking points is ridiculous. I don't even think that person was cynically doing that. I think a lot of people are just like trained without realizing to do that. They internalize that. Like, I don't think that person was saying that to be... It's true she's light on policy, but he's bringing that up as a criticism about Harris while Trump has never had a policy. This person is not a political commentator, number one. This person is also not doing a video on Donald Trump's marketing. Maybe they have done a video on Donald Trump's marketing. If they made a video on Donald Trump's marketing initiatives and then he said that it was a banger and it was really successful, then I would have some criticisms of that. So far, though, I'm interpreting what he's saying as like a decent critique.
Cool tendency to say extremely stupid things and make very gaffes when she goes off script. When she's reading off script, she is good, she is charismatic, she hits her points. When she is asked a question that is in any way she's unprepared to answer, she makes huge mistakes. Here are a few that she's done before. At one point, she said three times in three separate videos that 220 million Americans died from COVID. She obviously meant to say not that, because there's 300 million Americans. I think we would know if they all died from COVID. Another time, she was visiting the DMC, which is...
Okay, first of all, there's 330 million Americans. Kamala Harris off script is prone to gaffes. I think Kamala Harris in a debate setting might do well, but Kamala Harris off script when talking to the media or when delivering a speech, not very great, okay? Having said that, however, will she be good? Has she gotten enough training? Her Democratic National Convention speech was a scripted speech. It was decent. Obviously, I hated the things that she said in it, but in terms of like delivery, it was a decent speech. Anyway, let's continue.
The demilitarized zone in South Korea, and she praised the Republic of North Korea and said that she wanted to be allies with them, and she didn't realize that it was South Korea. And then she obviously says word salads a lot, where we don't understand the context of all in which she lives and where she came before her pretend to be. One of my favorite quotes from her, she said, "It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time." And this is just the reality. She is not good speaking off the cuff. She knows it, and her campaign knows it. If you need further proof, let's watch how she answered a very simple question on inflation.
And also, what else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up.
And the reason why I'm showing you this is so you understand the fragility of such a tightly controlled image when she is inevitably put into a high-pressure environment like a debate or an interview where she has to answer questions and she can't articulate herself. This crafted idea that she's an extremely competent person gets shattered.
He's mad she paused. Bro, come on. It's like the Ukraine speech. It's like when she was talking about Ukraine, when they were like, when she was like, Ukraine is a nation that is bordering Russia, a much larger nation. And let's make one thing clear. Russia is a nation that's much larger and bordering Ukraine, and Russia invaded Ukraine. And that's wrong. Bro, the Ukraine thing was on Normie radio show where they had specifically asked her to explain it to people who don't know anything about the region or news, Lamau. I know, but it comes across, the inflation thing that she's answering is not that situation. And it sounds identical to that. She just described what inflation is. The person didn't ask, like, could you explain to the uninitiated what inflation means? Jewish labor bun? I think you just hate black women. Yeah, I mean, classic. I would like to see what she has to say for the rest of that conversation in terms of like what she would do to deal with inflation. They already have decent policies that they've presented before. I want more charisma from Kamala Harris, and I want more bold proclamations from Kamala Harris. Okay? And if she wants to win, she's going to have to keep up that energy.
Immediately. So if Kamala Harris really wants to win this election, she needs to radically and quickly move away from the superficial, hollow rhetoric that she's been engaging in and put together a substantial policy platform.
Families and individuals are dealing with the realities of the...
I don't think the coconut tree is word salad. No. I actually defend the coconut tree argument all the time. I think the coconut tree one is not word salad at all. It's actually brilliant and insightful. There are, however, obviously, you know, moments where it is word salad.
That bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously, very seriously. And we know from the history of this issue in the United States that when you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for
Megaphonic. Okay, this is a world salady. Dog, she just keeps repeating what inflation is and how it hurts people. This is literally when you have, chap, this is a Selena Meyer moment, okay? But one of the best parts about this is that this is probably one of the most human moments that she's had, because who amongst us has not had a situation where they had to go up to the front of the class and deliver like their homework or something, or an issue that they were supposed to study, and they did not study at all, okay? I've done this. This is book reports where you do not know a single damn thing that is in the book, and you're just sitting there and you're like, well, you know, Tom Sawyer was a man. All right, oh, can you grab my, here. I have some stuff outside. Can you grab it? Oh, that's tiny. What the? Okay, yeah, no, I don't want it now. But can you bring that to the fridge? Put that in the fridge with this too. Thank you. There's a shot. No, it'll fall.
all people in our country. So it's a big issue. And
who the is this Megaphonics person? Lol, always chirping like daily. And Megaphonics, you've made a name for yourself in the chat. Dude, she's 60 years old. This has nothing to do with a school book report.
It is a priority, therefore. So we have addressed it in a number of ways. One of the issues that we know is related to this is the supply chain issue that we just discussed.
So you are holding the autobiography of Malcolm X along with Alex Haley. I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway so far?
I kind of just started a couple days ago, but I've read and a lot of notes over the years. It's my first time actually reading this from start to finish. But just a very smart man, very smart man, and basically his words in the 60s and what was going on is actually what's going on today still.
What are you guys saying that? Oh wow, classic white supremacists saying that a black man is not, one, capable of reading, and two, I'm gonna double down on this. Are you guys saying that he's wrong? Are you saying that he's wrong? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize white supremacy in the exact same ways that it unfolded in the 60s during the civil rights movement was not very much an element in American society right now. Take the Klan robes off. Take them off. Is he wrong? He's not wrong. Now, people might say, Hasan, you literally did this exact same analysis
raging
on Trump.
for many decades.
So here he is remembering certain key parts, like key details from a briefing that he was a part of. And he's using that to be like, look at how many things I know. It's literally, I've been in this situation when I was a kid and I didn't do the reading and I had to go in front of the classroom and deliver a presentation on something that I totally could not remember. Okay. And we've all been in this situation where you're like, I didn't really read this well enough. I didn't do the writing. I didn't do the reading. I have no clue what the hell's going on. I'm just going to pick certain parts that I do remember, and I'm just going to blast them out into your face in the general vicinity of whatever we're reading. That's exactly what's happening here. China, India, 22 people have died. I remember. I'm the rememberer of things. I'm the greatest understander.
The reason I say this is even if you don't believe this particular piece of intelligence, and there is dispute, no doubt, there is dispute in the intelligence community about it, your former John Nicholson, former head of forces in Afghanistan, said, and this is when he was working for you, that Russia is supplying weapons to the Taliban.
Anyway, yeah, Trump does this all the time too. You had the debate lord speaking cadence back then? No, I didn't. Dude, people just genuinely do not have the mental faculties to understand that, like, if you change one piece of equipment in your streaming setup, like if you change your condenser or if you change like your roadcaster, that it automatically changes the way that you hear my voice. So they think I hit puberty at the age of like 29. Okay. Like, I don't know how to react to people who are like, wow, you had such a baby voice back then. Wow. It's like, dog, I was 29 back then. I'm 33 now. Are you stupid? It's just the processing that changed. Brother, your voice does change in some people when they hit 30. You know that, right? Oh my God. Oh my God. Dude, it was a joke, brother. No jokes allowed. No, there are people who unironically are saying in unhinged in the chat right now. I'm glad I read one of them. Before I read your comment where you're like, oh, people are just joking. It's annoying. Anyway, getting back to this, LeBron is right. And I believe that he read the Malcolm X, and one of the things that he says is like, oh, I just started reading it, and like the very same problems that existed back then exist now. So it hits home. It's like, and he's right about that. Like, obviously, white supremacy is a massive problem as it was back then. Him understanding how powerful the Negro can be. He used that word a lot. How powerful we are. Yeah, I got nothing on that one. No, that's so. He said they use that word a lot. Like, that's the message. He said they use that word a lot. Like, that was the main message from Malcolm X's biography. Yeah, that's a man who hasn't read the book. Okay, I can't even jokingly sit here. I can't even jokingly sit here and defend that. But we have to unite, and we have to be together. We have to stand strong, because there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be, things that's going to be thrown at us where they try to weaken us. They try to make us feel like we're not kings and queens, and it's going to come from all, different races and different shapes and sizes and things of that nature. And just a very powerful minded gentleman. And it's unbelievable to kind of read something that's coming directly from him. I just wish I had an opportunity to meet him. Obviously, we know what the situation that happened among not only him, but Dr. Martin Luther King, some of the greats that's ever walked this face of the earth, not only just here in America, but in this face of the earth. So it's a pretty interesting book. I mean, look at his face. He looks like he got caught in his pants, dude. Like, Is like, was this convincing, man? Anyway, the point is, I love him and I will glaze him. Why? Because he puts numbers on the board. Okay, that's why. And you would overlook a lot of Kamala Harris's like weird. If she too put numbers on the board, if she was running around being like, yeah, we're gonna give you free healthcare, I promise you, you wouldn't give a shit about any of this. But if she's not running around doing that, if she was the LeBron of politics, is what I mean, okay? If she had like a career average of almost 30 points, okay, over the span of 21 goddamn years per game, politically speaking, she would have to be Mao reincarnated with Ho Chi Minh merging into one person if she was like LeBron. So if she was doing that, okay, in terms of her policy, ain't nobody would give it if she read the Malcolm X book or not.
And so on a domestic level, in terms of domestic policy, one of the approaches we have taken is to work with labor unions and to work with municipalities in opening back up and extending the hours of our ports.
LeBron isn't close to 30 points per game, only MJ. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that LeBron isn't playing against plumbers. Shut up. Thank you for the 100 gifted subs, Jaeger08 Larson.
There are actually 3 I have in mind: Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Savannah. And in fact, part of the infrastructure bill benefit is most recently what we will do to assist Savannah in broadening their ability to be an active port. And we have seen a reduction in the container ships off of the Long Beach and LA ports because of what we have done, which is to extend, as you know, to extend the hours to now 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But there is also a point that is important to make on the Build Back Better framework. One, it is designed to make it less expensive for working people to live. It was specifically designed to bring down the costs of childcare and increase accessibility and availability, designed to bring down the cost of elder care and make it available to all those working families that need that support and need that help. And Build Back Better is not going to cost anything. We're paying for it. So when we can get Build Back Better passed, and we are optimistic that we will, the American people will see costs actually reduced around some of the most essential services that they need to take care of their basic responsibilities, including issues like childcare and elder care and also preschool. And that's an important point to mention also. And in fact, I had some conversations here in France, including with the Minister of Education in France, about the, again, global impact of the pandemic on childcare, but also on education, and in particular for our youngest children. Universal pre-K, when we're able to do that, 3 and 4 years old, getting education at no cost, what that is going to do in terms of not only supporting working families who otherwise can't afford to put their kids in a private situation and otherwise don't have it available, that's going to have a huge impact on lowering the cost for families. So that is a big part of it.
She had a shit start, but the lawyer genes kicked in by the end of it. It's still not great. Like she was reminded of what Build Back Better is and reminded of the Inflation Reduction Act. So she was like, here are some of the signature accomplishments that we're pushing for in terms of the administration's legislative agenda. It took her like a while to wind up to that. Okay. I suspect she was just like looking through the fact sheet in front of her. But regardless, my point still stands in terms of like I'll admit, this was a lot better of a finish than the start for sure. I think a lot of people forget that we used to say that she's like barred the out. And even early on, when the swap was supposed to happen, I kept saying Kamala Harris needs to get off the sauce instantly and get on some goddamn uppers, okay? For this reason, because she does come across like a little zooted, okay? It's important to remember. All right, let's finish this video off.
And articulate a very clear vision that she has for the country. If she does, I not only think she will win the presidency, but all 3 branches of government, potentially laying the groundwork for change.
Okay, like this guy's just chirping. What the fuck does he know about? Yeah, dude. Like, I don't think he's like clued in on all of the Senate races and all the House races that are going on, okay? Like, I don't think Kamala Harris can salvage that with good policies personally. Sure, a popular... yeah, you also can't win the judiciary. Well, unless you're the Republican Party, because the Republican Party has won the judiciary. Let's be real, okay? I think when he said branches, he meant like the House, the Senate, and House. But dog, we ain't winning Montana. I mean, that could happen. The wrong term, but I think he meant House of Representatives, Senate, and the White House. But will you cover the Korean men group chat? Ismail Alt? Probably not. Isn't it? Is that massive like AI porn one? Yeah, dude. Dude, gender wars. I often talk about how like gender wars is annoying in America, but this is like gender holocaust in Korea. Okay, like if we're doing gender wars here on American TikTok, they're doing gender holocaust at South Korea. It is so crazy. I remember looking into it a little bit during like the 4B shit, like movement stuff, where I was like, this is not a good. Everybody needs to be crazy. I mean, everybody needs to not be crazy. Sorry. Like the swearing off men seems like pretty crazy. And then I looked into like some of the worst aspects of the gender wars in South Korea. And I was like, never mind. It's actually pretty valid. I didn't realize it was like that. My bad. No disrespect. No disrespect to the Korean women. You deserve to stay the way from the Korean men. Holy shit. It's pretty nuts over there. Okay. I don't know what the hell's going on. So yeah, just drip your incels. But yeah, TLDR, Korea recently had a telegram of, I believe, 1,200 plus people in it, all filled with AI deepfake porn on university students. Is super intense. 4B is honestly so justified because of how disgusting this stuff is. Recently, a K-pop idol got thrown out of sex crimes, thrown out for sex crimes against a 12-year-old for 6+ years. It's a lot. Yeah, they were doing like deepfake AI porn of like people they know and shit. It's really up. Wait, what? It's 220,000 people. Wait, what? 200,000? Okay, we'll look at this in a second.
And if she doesn't, I think she will simply become a cautionary tale of someone who sought the highest office in the land without action.
There's more people in the group chat than there were babies born in South Korea last year. Yeah, no shit, dude. It's hyper capitalism. Yo, South Korea is crazy, dude. Holy shit. Korea unification now, brother. Oh my God. Actually, oh my God. America really Korea in general, dude. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Korea having its like China style moment right now? If America didn't decide to make arbitrary boundaries and they were like, you know what? We'll let the USSR we'll let the USSR fund and facilitate and support the Korean communist movement that was objectively popular both in North and South Korea. God damn. Bro, think about that, dude. Cha, dude. That's what I'm saying. They would have been. First of all, North Korea wouldn't be like what it is now, obviously. They wouldn't have been, they would not have had to suffer. Hold on. I have to do it. I have to do it to them. Please cover Afghan women. Please talk about Afghan women. Afghan women can no longer speak in public. Afghanistan. Afghanistan too. Please cover what is happening with Afghan women. Please cover Afghan women. You do random stuff every day. Hasan, will you talk about how women in Afghanistan are no longer allowed to speak in public? I did yesterday. And now this divestment call is significantly larger in terms of incurring financial punishments when you're talking about Israel.
Brand new this morning, just moments ago, the Harris campaign released a new ad arguing that Project 2025 is the blueprint for a second Trump presidency.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever.
Now, the Trump campaign consistently denies that this is their policy, but there are ties with the folks who wrote it. It comes as Vice President Harris and Governor Walz sit down for their first ever interview of the campaign right here on CNN with Dana Bash, and they also embark on a bus tour through southern Georgia. Now, Georgia is a state that Joe Biden won, but won by less than 12,000 votes, so the margins are very close. CNN's Eva McKen joins us now. Let's start with this new ad released just moments ago. What's the messaging?
You know, John, this has to be one of the most effective lines of attack because Even as the former president tries to distance himself from Project 2025, when I'm out on the campaign trail, I hear from Democratic voters unprompted, so without me even mentioning it, time and time again, how afraid they are of the implications of this. So it makes total political sense for them to hit this hard. In this ad, that a Trump White House that would overhaul the Department of Justice, they say that he would have unchecked power to seek vengeance and even eliminate the Department of Education. Let's listen to this argument.
Donald Trump may try to deny it, but those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control. We'll pay the price.
So you hear in the messaging there, John, that they're leaning into this notion that he is hell-bent on revenge, which...
You just compared RUAF with IDF on what basis? I'm curious. God chosen people. Wait, what? Sam, why don't you have the same energy to create the multicultural, diverse nation of 50 million people, 20 million now, who decided in 2014 to be a mono-ethnical state banning? We banned this guy and then we unbanned him, and he's back to the pushing Z. Brother. You should perhaps ask why so many Russians are pro-Israel as well, and vice versa. Okay. Like 30%, I don't know the exact population number, but like so many of the newer occupants in Israel are just straight up just Russian, not even like Jewish by ethnic or religious heritage whatsoever. I understand it now. Russia-Ukraine was totally different to Israel. Coverage every day. Be gentle, guys. I was in bad form that night. Thank you. Okay, maybe he didn't understand. Russian is one of the largest language groups in Russia. You mean Israel? They have majority population of some Israelis. It is. I know. There's plenty of obviously Russian Jews that went to Israel. It's funny because there's plenty of Russian non-Jews that went to Israel as well. A big point of contention in Israel is, many people genuinely think that protesting Israel is anti-Semitic. I've been told that it's bigoted to not let Jewish people have their own state. Yeah, dude, I know. We just have to. It just has to be a demographic ethno state. You know, I think it's actually anti-German not to let the German folk have their own Christian German state. It's really up. It's actually really anti-Christian to not let Americans have their own white nation state for white children. No one can describe to me why this is not this is not just pure fascist ideology in display, because it's exactly the same. Israel can either be a Jewish state or a democratic state. It can't be both. It doesn't work that way. The entire complications right now that many people choose to not see unironically derive from this major problem. The Palestinian domination stems from Israel's need to maintain an ethnic majority. It's ridiculous. Like, it would be unimaginably hypocritical of me if I were to be like, America can't be a white ethno state. That's white supremacist. And then turn around and be like, but Israel can be a Jewish one. And that's not like Judeo-supremacist fascist nonsense in the same exact vein. Like, what are we talking about here? Yeah, I'm anti-apartheid, except for Israel, which I believe have a right to do that. Sorry. Get ready to be branded anti-Semite of the week. Too late. I have been. Not disagreeing, but I do think the obvious counter to that argument will be the Jews have a history of persecution, unlike Protestant white people. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Okay? You can't just be like, yeah, Jews have a history of persecution, so now they get to do it. Like, what? Run that argument to its logical conclusion. Jews were, so they now get to do a little bit of their own is an insane argument. It doesn't work that way.
Bolsters this contrast that they're trying to portray between a candidate principally concerned with the past versus one who they argue is looking to the future.
Now, what are you learning about this trip to Georgia? Because the part of Georgia they're going to tells a story here.
It does. They think that they can appeal to rural voters. They don't have to win some of these rural counties outright, but playing in them could make a difference. They've got 24 field offices across Georgia, 7 of which are in the southern part of the state. They're really looking at these outer metro Atlanta counties, and then they're going to end the bus tour in Savannah. And I've spoken to Democratic strategists and organizers in the state, and they say that often outside of Atlanta, voters really lament that campaigns don't go there, don't campaign there. And so this strategy to them makes sense.
25.
Yeah, dude, black people were forced into chattel slavery, so they get to enslave white people. Yeah.
Did just play some of that ad that was just released a few minutes ago, and I know is airing in Georgia and other key battleground states. Why is Project 2025 so important in terms of the Harris campaign's messaging when Donald Trump and his campaign work so hard to disavow their connections with it?
Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump can try to disavow his connections to it. I think the problem for Donald Trump is that it's written by.
Yeah, the irony is it wouldn't even be white people. It'd be like, I don't know, Filipino people or something, like randomly. Like just a group of people that had nothing to do with chattel slavery. That's the equivalent.
By his people, by his former staffers, for him. You don't have a blueprint unless you're going to build a house. You don't have a playbook unless you intend to run the play. They've made it very clear that that's exactly what they intend to do, whether it is banning abortion nationwide with or without Congress, as is laid out in the plan, whether it's monitoring women's pregnancies, whether it is, again, the tax cuts for the rich and the corporate giveaways, whether it's the gutting of checks and balances, the consolidation of power inside the Oval Office so that Donald Trump can go after his political opponents. The threat that Project 2025 poses to the American people is abundantly clear. And we're going to make sure that as the vice president and the governor are out on the stump communicating their positive vision to the American people between now in the debate on September 10th and through Election Day, we are simultaneously going to make sure that the threat that Donald Trump's Project 2025 agenda poses to the American people is also front and center.
All right, Harris Campaign Communications Director Michael Tyler, great to see you. Thanks, Michael. With us now, Democratic strategist Matt Bennett and former Public Policy Director for Mitt Romney, Lonnie Chen. Lonnie, let me just start with you. This is a big interview, first of all, A, because Dan is doing it, it will be great. But second of all, because we have not heard, really, from Vice President Harris in this forum. What are you looking for, Lonnie?
Well, I think there's a number of things we're looking for. Obviously, on the policy front, there'll be a lot of questions. There'll be questions about her changes in positions on key issues like fracking. There'll be questions about the policy she has rolled out, for example, her plan on housing and how much of that she actually thinks is feasible. And then we're going to want to know about areas where we have not heard as much substance or detail, areas of policy that I think could be determinative in states like Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin and other places where this race is very tight. So I think for all those reasons, this is going to be an incredibly important interview. And just her demeanor, how is she going to react to being pressed by Dana on these issues? I think these are all things that we should be looking for.
Matt, how much will these answers matter?
Well, obviously, if she makes a big mistake, it'll matter a lot. I think if she answers it well and kind of puts some of these questions to rest, I think it won't have a huge impact on the campaign. But these moments, can pop up. And so far, one of the most remarkable things about the Harris campaign since it became a Harris campaign just over a month ago is that she hasn't really made a mistake. She has performed brilliantly in basically every forum that she's been in. Her campaign is hitting on all cylinders. And so there is risk here, and everybody understands that, but it's also part of the process, and you have to do it. And I think they were smart to go to CNN and do a hard news interview with both candidates.
And Matt, what about the debate? And I'm not focused so much on the gamesmanship, muted microphone or not muted microphone, because that will get settled one way or the other. But when they take the debate stage together, what are the stakes there?
Again, for the most part, people don't remember that much about debates when they go to vote unless there's a huge mistake or a huge blow landed. I mean, people can remember the big lines from past debates from decades ago, and they can remember how Nixon looked, 60 years ago. So there is some risk and there is some possibility of reward in the debate. But I think what you're going to see here is that this is Harris's strong suit. She is a prosecutor. She stands up in court and, prosecutes the case against bad guys, and she's up against a felon. I think this is going to play to her strength.
Lonnie, I saw you shaking your head on debates, remembering probably how in 2012 it was widely considered that Mitt Romney did beat Barack Obama in that first debate. Ultimately did not go on to win the election. There's a trend of journalism out there right now in analysis, Lonnie, which suggests that Kamala Harris and Democrats now, not 2 months ago when Biden was running, have somehow figured out how to beat Donald Trump. Talk about him as being laughable, the meme campaign that's going on out there. Lonnie, how much validity do you see in that?
Well, I think the direct contrasts that the Harris campaign is willing to draw, it strikes me that they have been much more willing to confront the Trump campaign on all sorts of different issues. I do think that their reaction time has gotten better. I think there's a number of ways in which the campaign is being run with a little bit more pep in its step. And I think that matters. But certainly the direct contrast of seeing those two candidates, Harris and Trump, on stage together, talking about hopefully issues, we'll see. I think that will be really impactful for voters just in terms of creating an image. I agree that the specifics of the debate probably get lost with time, but it really is about the imagery, the contrast, the degree to which they're able to confront one another, how they react when they're confronted. These are the sorts of things that I think do stick and they do matter. And that's why I think this debate is going to be very widely watched.
You know, it's interesting now that I have both of you here, you know, a Romney Republican and a Democrat.
Tomorrow is the big Dana Fash interview.
Who's worked for years to pull the party a little bit more toward the middle.
At 6 p.m. Pacific, where there will be a 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour when that happens, by the way. Why are you just whining all the time? No. We don't have to ban this guy. These are the types of guys that have like phenomenal takes, dude. Guy who's whining that doesn't have any like understanding of how political commentary works goes, man, you sure do a lot of commentary. I burp sometimes too. Anyway, the 3-minute ad break is upon us. The one time I thought I chipped in. No, I just want to see I want to see what other wonderful things he has to come up with. Dana Rash. I laughed at someone said you got your own room at DNC because of your belching. Yeah, probably. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
Harris and Walz are taking a bus tour through red counties in Georgia today. A lot of the rhetoric from the convention, there was plenty of red meat for the progressives there, but a lot of outreach to the middle, a lot of talk about tone and neighborliness. So, Lonnie, how much of an impact does that have with maybe some more moderate Republicans that you talk to?
Well, I think we'll have to see. I mean, I think obviously the rhetoric and the themes are the right ones, talking about, for example, freedom, the kind of optimism and hope we saw that mirrors what we've seen from past Republican nominees, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush. I think there's a similar tone that's being struck. I do think where the rubber hits the road on this, John, is, you know, do Republicans, do moderates, do they actually believe Kamala Harris's conversion on key issues? Do they actually believe that she's going to be moderate on issues of energy exploration? Do they actually believe she's going to cut taxes for the middle class? That's really where I think voters are going to have to make a decision. The outreach makes sense. There's no question from a demographic perspective it makes sense. But the substance, we'll see. And that's why it's so important to see how legitimate and how real her conversion on these issues really is.
Matt?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. And look, I think it's important to emphasize that she has spent 3.5 years as vice president, traveling the country, traveling the world, talking to Americans, and learning a lot about what works and doesn't work legislatively. So I think that her kind of evolution policy-wise makes perfect sense. You know, she hasn't changed her principles at all. If you look at J.D. Vance, he's changed a whole bunch of his principles. What she has changed instead is the kinds of policies she wants to pursue to reach the ends. And I think that will make sense to voters. And I also think, to your point, reaching...
Yeah, she hasn't changed her principles at all. The marketing downfall of Kamala Harris